What's good, everybody? It's Batman, and today we're going to be doing part 2 for basically scaling Sasuke. This would be like the short version, basically, as you guys can tell, and this would just be the final part. I wanted to kind of have this in 2 separate parts. This way the videos are not too long. The version before was only 12 minutes long. I'll make sure to put that video in the link in the description down below. And if you guys want to see the full, long, in-depth version of like fully analyzing everything about Sasuke and whether if he's 5th gate level, etc., and just how strong he is overall. It's about like almost 2 hours long. It was like an hour and 57 minutes. But we go over like everything basically, as like anything you could think of. We go from literally starting all the way to the finish. So if you guys want to see all of that stuff, I'll put that in the description down below as well. This way, this is all connected because since these videos are kind of released periodically at different time periods, this way there's no confusion and you guys don't think I'm like reposting about the same topic over and over. So I was just once again trying to make this more simple for you guys. I know some people prefer the shorter version, some people prefer like long in depth. So overall, I'm just trying to appeal to you guys and kind of go that route. But we're gonna be talking about Sasuke, so we're just gonna do a quick recap of the part 1. So it's gonna be really quick and very short and concise. Give me one memento. All right, so the first thing we're going to be getting into is basically going to be, it will basically be Sasuke when he starts off in the training exams, obviously. Any other versions is completely irrelevant to even discuss. We already know where he basically falls under. So basically, we literally see it all. Like he fights Lee, he gets his ass beat, he's bleeding from his taijutsu attacks, he can't defend himself and nothing. He gets beaten up so much to the point where he's trembling and can't even defend himself. So that's very straightforward, right? Very simple. And even when he has like one of his strong amps he could use as well when he's like in the curse mark and everything, he's still not even getting nowhere to 5th gate level or anything like that. If anything, he's not even getting to the 1st gate level. He does get more powerful to the point where he impresses the Sound Ninja and everything, but he just has no feats. He doesn't have any statements to even show any relevance of him even getting to those levels yet. That's just basically what you're working with. And most importantly, he's basically just replicating feats that Lee was able to do and kind of hit them all and fight them all and basically just shitting on them like that. And that's basically all it is. There's really nothing more you can kind of go off from that. And most importantly, once again, guys, it's just there's the feats that he has in this form. There's just nothing he shows. There's no statements to indicate. Not only that, even Neji, out of all people, sees him, and he's just he's like impressed by the power. He's like, okay, but like he still has like a face that he's not worried or anything or freaking out, like when he saw Nine Tails Naruto. And he eventually, there's a statement like towards the conclusion of everything where he's like, okay, he's a pretty strong opponent and everything, but that's just him acknowledging his power, and whatnot, and not him admitting it being inferior or that he can skill to him. It's just him kind of, giving him like, a nod, and like, okay, I respect that. So that's all you had during that whole time. And once again, there's tons and tons of statements where like, even, Kakashi, basically is like, comparing, Sasuke to Neji and everything, and even he's just, just basically says it himself, like, he can't even compare to Neji, blah, blah, and to least, like, once again, this Sasuke's just nowhere near, etc., etc. So then we get straight to business, to all the juicy details and everything. First narrative implication that we even have with this Sasuke, once again, it's just him being compared to Naruto. Naruto acknowledges his strength, he wants to fight him. This is similar to what Sasuke did before to him when he acknowledged his strengths and wants to fight him, and they kind of look at each other as equals and everything. So you have that, which is already kind of correlating his strengths to be similar to Naruto's. And we saw basically Naruto's fight with Neji and how all that went and everything. Then you kind of, see him fight against the Sand Clone. It takes multiple blows to, hit him. Eventually he's able to take out the Sand Clone while he's in base. Also, Kishimoto does other narrative implication, references him to literally base Lee with weightless speed. And that's so just to, show that. And Gar even says like fast just like him. Mind you, it doesn't show 5th gate Lee, it doesn't show any other gates or anything. It just literally shows normal base Lee. So once again, even Kishimoto showing a clear amount of evidence of where the Sasuke is clearly scaling to when it comes to speed overall. And it's even stated, verbatim. Even Guy says he's quick, he's almost as fast as Lee's average speed. Basically correlating that to weighted Lee. So not even equal to weighted Lee, he's basically just relative. Then eventually Guy says it again and says not when he's using his full speed. He's like, that's practically the same speed as Lee without his weight. So basically stating verbatim he's relative to weightless Lee now. So that's the max that his speed ever gets to. And then with his Chidori, you know what I mean, with the speed amp, you can maybe arguably say, like, now he gets fully to weightless Lee speed, you know, equal to it, and that's basically about it. Or if you don't think it even goes that high, that's fine, whatever. Unfortunately, we don't really get any quantifications for when he's at with the Chidori. We know it's a speed amp in a sense, but it's not like a massive speed amp. And then once again, you know, then we just kind of see him, you know, using the taijutsu that he uses, beats up Gar and everything. That's the same feat that he replicates with, you know, Lee, that also did against Gar and is able to kind of push him to the corner. We kind of know what goes from there. And Guy basically, you know, wonders like, okay, I wonder why he, like, you know, trained him to get that speed, and he using just taijutsu, like he should know from the fight even with Lee that just won't be enough. Obviously, we see him use, you know, Chidori. When he goes to try to strike him before he goes fully into the dome, he even bleeds from punching the sand and gets cut all over his body. So his durability is still nowhere near as good as people actually think it to be. Some people think he scales to Chidori, but that's blatantly not true at all. If his body and everything did scale to Chidori, then he would have just punched right through it, or better yet, would have just tanked those hits as well. You know, if anything, he gets messed up by you know, Jinchuriki Gaara. He can bleed from base Naruto and stuff. You name it, from so many people, even from the Sound 4. He just doesn't have any durability feats to where he can just tank things straight up, you know, and you can literally clearly see it here. So, but then anyways, we know how it goes. He goes to use Chidori, goes to use it, admits that it's going to take some time, eventually goes to use Chidori, and then basically, you know, he gathers it in his hand, goes to use the technique, and then Guy's like, okay, I see, that's why you had him focus on taijutsu and increase his speed so much. So basically, he just admits verbatim, like, okay, that's why you train him to acquire a relativity to weightless league speed, so you can be able to utilize Chidori and move forward, etc. And then Kakashi's like, yeah. That's basically what you have from there. Once again, there's no 5th gate lead. There's no statement saying that he's in, like, Gates level of power or anything like that. None of that is definitively or concretely stated here and shown. Okay, and then once again, it's just him utilizing Chidori with a crazy amount of attack potency, to where basically now he can be able to deal with somebody like Gar, who has crazy defenses and crazy durability, and etc. So that's basically move along with, and everybody can still see him. You know, you name it. Nobody's like saying, "Oh, we just can't see him," or he has like insane speed. It's nowhere near the same emphasis as Lee when he's in all the gates, 4th, 5th gate, and everything. Even, you know, so just want to kind of put that out there. And Kakashi's even able to track him. Like, he doesn't have to use like his 3-tome or anything like that, and yada yada. So that's basically what you're working with, and we already kind of know what happens. You know, it goes from there, and then basically, you know, Lee is like, wow, truly into your genes, you obtain like a high speed body like mine. And then, you know, basically, you know, Gar is like bleeding and everything. And then like Lee just kind of analyzes the situation that just happened. You know, he's like a beeline. He's basically like, if I understand that it would have been me, I wouldn't be able to launch an attack, you know, full on, like basically full head on an opponent like that. Or rather, I couldn't have. A beeline attack is easy to counter and avoid, and I don't have the eye to perceive and see through that counter. So basically, all this basically shows as well. Once again, Chidori isn't an insane huge speed amp. Basically, it just allows you to, you know, to basically, as long as you have the shotting gun, you can be able to use this insane attack potency that it has. You can be able to, you know, maneuver around and dodge the attacks if necessary, and then counter effectively. And since it's not a massive speed amp, and it's easy to, you know, to counter or avoid, where you can either sidestep or counter and then hit them instead, which, you know, is a problem with the Chidori, which is why it only becomes a complete technique when you have the shotting gun. Okay, you know, overall, that's just more evidence to prove that it's just not a massive speed amp, or doesn't get him anywhere near to the 5th gate. So that's basically the recap of everything that we discussed in the first video alone. And eventually, I'll show like all the other feats as well, and we'll skim right through that really quick. But the next thing, this is what I really wanted to talk about with the second part being released, or the final part, is basically when everybody brings up the whole argument of like Sasuke being the strongest opponent, and basically moving forward from there. The first thing we see, so you know how when people reference like the guard is the strongest opponent from the data books and everything, so people's like immediate go-to is always like, oh, meaning that therefore he has to scale to 5th gate lead and everything with either like his body and all his stats, you know, just in base or with the shotting him, or there's like, oh, therefore that means with the Chidori he has to scale to 5th gate lead. It's actually not correct at all. For one, the feats contradict that line of scaling and interpretation, and statements also contradict that line of scaling and interpretation. Like literally with the statements I already showed you guys of him clearly where his speed is at and everything, and then clearly showing that the Chidori is not a massive speed amp or anything like that either. Okay, like this is basically what you're working with. And so with this, basically what happens is, you know, Gaara has a subjective viewing on people's strengths and what he considers someone to be strong. Okay, and it starts where he says, you got eyes just like mine, eyes full and spilling over with hatred and intent to kill. You're like me. Do not forget that. You are my prey. You who are strong, who are called an Uchiha, who have friends and have a purpose just like me. By killing you, I'll erase all that, and then I can truly exist and feel fully alive. And right here, he's like, you've got eyes that know real isolation, and eyes that recognize it as the greatest pain in this world. I thought I told you have eyes like mine. Eyes see constraints spilling over with hatred and intent to kill, just like me. Eyes itching to kill those who drove you into the torture called solitude. That's it. Those are the eyes. All right, and that's when Kakashi intervenes. He's like, all right, hold it right there. I don't think you know anything about Sasuke, blah blah. And he's like, why did you come down here? And then Gaara's like, a battle is a gamble where one pits existence against another. He's like, what is most important is when you try to kill each other, and where only the victor gets to savor the worth of his existence. And then Kakashi basically acknowledges what he's saying, clarifying, like, in other words, you want a death match instead of a normal match. It's like, Uchiha, I know you actually desire it too, deep inside your heart. Am I truly stronger than the opponent I face with this hate-filled eyes of mine? You want to confirm your worth of existence. You are wondering, am I really as strong as I thought? And you try to kill each other, and where only the victor gets to savor the worth of his existence. I already said that. I apologize. Oh yeah, he's like, so Uchiha, I know you actually desire too deep inside your heart. Am I truly stronger than the opponent I face with these hate-filled eyes of mine? You want to confirm your worth of your existence. You're wondering, am I really strong as I thought? So basically, with all this right here, okay, clearly Gaara's whole subjective viewing of what he deems to what makes someone really strong or powerful, or what correlates to his own viewing of strength alone, okay, is literally with the darkness within your eyes, the basically seeking to kill in order to fill the void of your pain and isolation, etc., and so on and so forth. So once again, this would actually be the correct interpretation of why Gaara actually considers Sasuke the strongest opponent he's ever faced, because of how similar Sasuke is to him in certain measures and capacities, and most importantly, of him literally having an abundance amount of verbatim statements of him basically explaining what actually makes someone strong, why he is strong and why they're similar, and why he must fight him to the death and beat him and kill him, because otherwise he can be able to confirm his existence and fully become even stronger, basically. So when it comes to the whole possibility territory, this is technically the highest possibility you can actually be able to have and prove, if we're going to over here technically play interpretation games. So if you guys wanted to have an interpretation battle, and let's say you're debating a Sasuke person, or you're scaling whatever, this is actually the correct line of interpretation in the possibility territory of things. Because once again, this is just Gaara's thought process. And to further even prove that along, he even pulls out with Naruto, where he's like, what's the matter? Are you scared of me? Whether you fight for yourself or for others, you should only love yourself, only fight for yourself. That's the definition of the strongest one. Right there, this says it himself. Now fight me, show me your power, just like when you took down Hyuga. I'll grind that power into nothingness. And that's the power he actually acknowledges and respects, the power of the Kyuubi, the Nine Tails, similar to him using the power of Shikaku, which correlates to darkness, pain, etc., etc. So once again, he even just says the same thing and acknowledges his subjective viewing of what he deems what makes you the definition of the strongest one. So when the data book basically says, fighting his strongest opponent Sasuke, it's because he considers him to be his strongest opponent Sasuke. And we clearly know with the whole fight of Naruto against Gaara, that's clearly not the case either, that it's contradicted by that alone as well, where obviously Naruto is actually the strongest, and even Gaara was getting completely overwhelmed and confused by the power that Naruto is possessing, and just literally conflicted throughout, and then gets so pissed and pressed to the point where he has to go even further in his final forms and everything, and it eventually goes from a simple getting fight to tuning, and then to freaking automatically to Hokage level fighting, so that's basically what you're working with so far, and I really wanted to kind of hit that on the nail for you guys. And the only other thing I can do from here is just show you further feats and statements to basically conclude that Sasuke is just now 5th gate level, and where he fully scales overall in his highest forms, and we'll even now discuss and show 3 Tomo Sasuke as well with CM1 and CM2. Alright, so before we move on to the rest of everything with Sasuke, I just want to show you a couple feats, and this is correlating to 2 Tomo Sasuke with the Chidori, just to prove further that it's not a massive speed amp or gets him to 5th gate level. So right here, just when Kakashi uses the Chidori, even the other ninja, he's fast and acknowledges that he has speed or whatever. And then basically, Minato has to basically get into the situation and basically save Kakashi's life, because as you can see, it's easy to counter and avoid, which is also stated further by Lee as well, and eventually even stated by Minato and shown by feats as well. So plenty of evidence to show. He's like, and he basically just tells him, do not use that jutsu anymore. From what I saw, it's a strike with a single focus. It certainly has speed and destructive power, but makes you move too fast to a certain your opponent's counterattack is still imperfect. And that's basically what he says from there. So Minato says it, Lee says it, and once again, if Chidori was a massive, insane speed increase, what you guys have to understand, if it really was that insane, okay, it wouldn't require the Sharingan. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't need that. You would just basically move so fast to the person. It doesn't matter about them counterattacking or seeing him or reacting or whatever. He just moves so fucking fast to where you can just hit him regardless, and that's it. They're dead. Similar to when Lee uses the gates and it amplifies his stats so high to where when he just moves, he just speed blitzes anybody he's attacking, or just completely speed blitzing Gar over and over and over. Okay, while with Sasuke, when he even uses the Chidori in two-tomo state, Gar is actually still even able to react to him with his sand, you know what I mean? To where they're basically still equal to each other, and reacting, whatever, and then he's able to land the final hit because of him having the Sharingan to perceive the attacks and counter accordingly. And most importantly, it's just shown not only with Kakashi, but also with Sasuke. And then to further enable this along, okay, when Kakashi eventually gets the Sharingan, that's when he's finally able to close the gap and be able to hit these people that scale to him, because that's the problem. Since these people clearly scale to him, whether if they're relative or equal, he just can't land a Chidori because, once again, it's not an insane speed amp. It gives a small increase of speed, okay, and it's only perfected with the Sharingan because of precognition and perception hacks. Okay, when he fights the other Jonin as well, okay, literally, they're equal to each other, whatever. When he gets Obito's Sharingan, he immediately shits on him with the Chidori. So at the end of the day, guys, like, you just have to understand and come to the realization that Chidori is not a tooth fairy magical, like, insane amp of speed. It's just not. So let's move on to the next. Basically, the next interaction we see with Sasuke is his interaction with Naruto. Basically, they fight on the rooftop. They're basically both equal to each other. Naruto does have the edge throughout the fight. This is basically shown, and then Naruto would have won the fight and actually killed Sasuke in an accident if it wasn't basically intercepted by Kakashi. And Kakashi was able to get involved and basically get there just in time. And Sasuke gets really pissed because he realizes that Naruto is still stronger than him. He's like, Naruto, how far have you come? Okay, basically just right here, just like, what the hell? Like, he's completely blown away by his power and just showing that the Rising is more stronger. He would have defeated him. Kakashi comes, stops the fight, and basically just shows, like, even with the Sharingan, he was able to overwhelm Sasuke, land attacks on him, and basically launch him into the air. And they eventually have the legendary Rising and Chidori clash. And then the next set of information of evidence to show that he's just clearly not 5th gate level, and where he fully scales to is he literally gets, he fights the Sound 4, they all fill each other out, they use substitution, and then basically once after all the substitutions used, then they get serious. They're all of them are able to land attacks on him. The Spider can land webs and everything. He gets combo attacked by Jirobo as well. Then he has like his 1v1 situation as well with Saikon. He even goes CM1 with the Sharingan to Tomo and still just immediately gets no diff. So like the Sound 4 just completely over him. And they even roast him and say like, you're pathetic. Why would Orochimaru even watch you? Kimar would have been better, etc. Sasuke's confused on why he can't even just land any attacks either. And this is just to further show that, with his 1v1 situation, whatever. That's basically all that's happening. And then basically it goes from there, it moves forward. And overall, I just want to show this is when Naruto landed multiple hits. And then as it moves forward and everything, eventually he has this fight with Naruto to where, he could literally bleed by base Naruto's attacks. Not even 9 kills or anything, just base attacks. So once again, showing that his durability is just not good at all. Okay, so you have all that. Then you have like Naruto letting hits on this Sasuke as well. So they're still equal to each other, can react to each other and everything. Naruto just summoning one Shadow Clone just like spins him in a circle, and he's able to match the Chidori speed as well, clearly proving that it's not an insane speed amp either. Basically running at full speed. So, and then Sasuke, gets pissed, can't do anything. And then he even admits here and says, Blast, I can't risk, a stalemate again. My best bet is to create an opening, quick moves and a jutsu in rapid succession, then move in with the Chidori and hit him square full on. So he literally even himself concedes that, that he needs to basically create diversions and use multiple jutsus and create an opening basically in order to hit the Chidori. Because once again, if it was an insane speed amp, then that wouldn't even be the case, and he should just be able to hit him with his Chidori before he can even clash his Rising Gun against his Chidori, either providing even further evidence that he clearly does not have a massive speed amp or anything. They continue to fight. Just further feats, he eventually lands his Chidori because of diversions, and we kind of go from there. Now the reason why this is important is because we're going to connect certain dots real quick as well. To all of them, all Shikamaru, you name it, they all pull up on this Spider-Man dude. He basically deals with all of them like effortlessly and is able to immediately restrain them. And even like Shikamaru was like, with all that planning and all of us, we still couldn't land a single hit. Neji's the only one that's able to deal with him. Basically moves forward from there, and he just kind of immediately shits on him in close combat. And basically the Spider Dude only survived because of his armor thing. The Spider Dude literally admits verbatim that like close combat is just a no-go. So as long as I stay out of reach, I'll be safe. And then I can just sit back and enjoy the show, etc. So like literally like this, he can't even engage in close combat with Neji, while with everybody else he could immediately beat them, meaning therefore he would also shit on Sasuke as well, meaning even proving that because Neji scales to gate 2 and etc., and just how dangerous he is with taijutsu, you name it. Even somebody like Neji's caliber would be able to shit on someone like Sasuke. You know what I mean? Like, once again, Neji's just completely built different. We even see that in his fight against Naruto when he summons all those like crazy amount of shadow clones. You know, he's able to beat them all effortlessly and everything, while Sasuke struggles to the same amount of shadow clones as well. And not only that, you know, V2 Gaara and V1 Gaara, not V1, V2 Gaara is over here struggling against like 4 fucking shadow clones, and Naruto's able to land a successful hit on him as well. And that's before he even gets a mental imp, and when he's technically having a mental crisis, arguably have a mental nerf in the process as well. So the reason why that's really important and why that even correlates is because basically further on, when you have that all that evidence into consideration, is not, you know, Saikon is able to also grab Naruto's Rising Gun before he can really use it, clearly showing that he would also do the same to Sasuke with his Chidori as well. So, you know, once again, kind of just showing this scaling and everything, and what they kind of struggle with and whatnot. And then basically, just to further add that on, even the Flute Girl is able to like beat this Naruto in a taijutsu exchange, or just clearly shows enough scaling to be equal to him as well. Then we basically see Naruto go to the QB state, fights against Bone Man, summons like thousands and thousands of fucking clones against him. He's not impressed at all. He just says interesting. At all. He just says interesting. He summons like thousands and thousands of clones, basically just showing that like once again like it's nothing to him, and he's just on a whole other level. Basically deals with all of them. He even stacks a QB cloak on top of it, and basically is able to beat them all. While Lee, on the other hand, is able to land multiple hits and just, you know, weightless speed, bully him with the drunken state and force him to go CM1, and use the first gate and also force him to go CM1. Okay, and then that's extremely impressive because for one, okay, if you connect all those dots, then we then see, you know, Sasuke over here getting basically his ass beat by QB Naruto. He's able to react and everything, but the problem is yes, he can react, but because he's just so much stronger, he just can't deal with his attacks, and even emits like so heavy. And then when Naruto amps up his speed, then he just starts getting speed blitzed over and over to where he just can't even do anything or whatever. And I mean, so like it's basically a situation where his eyes can see him, but he just can't react, and he's just kind of getting beat up or whatever. And then basically as it goes from there, okay, you know, Naruto could end the fight right here and then, literally just destroys him instantaneously. But, you know, they have that whole talk, you know, he tries to pull talk ninjutsu, it epically fails. He gets 3 Tomo, his precognition and perception abilities are now way more stronger to where he can read his movements more effectively. Now he can still react, and basically, you know, just, in CM2 transformation, basically, you know, send him launch back, and then eventually they have like their epic, you know, Rising on a Chidori clash. So once again, basically what all this shows, guys, the reason why I'm showing you all these feats and everything, is even with like their new forms and everything and whatnot, it's like the problem is because both their chakra control is so poor that they're not able to make full use and emphasis of these abilities and amplifications, you know, to where like CM2 is like a 10 times multiplier, etc., makes everything stronger, yada yada yada. So because their chakra control is so shit and poor, that's why, like, you know, he's not speed blitzing, even though he has the Chidori amp and the 10 times, you know, multiplier, you know, etc. Because obviously, if that was the case, and he was able to make full use of the amount of chakra he just got, you know, the amount of increase, he just basically should be able to speed blitz, right? Theoretically, that's not the case at all. So once again, that just proves that his chakra control is shit, etc. So with all this into consideration, everything that we do have, basically what you can conclude is Sasuke with CM2, he could skill to at least, you know, the first gate, bare minimum. If you want to at least grant him that, that's perfectly fine and reasonable. But anything even higher than that remotely, it's just not the case. It's like there's feats that contradict it with Neji, everything he does, seeing all the feats that base Naruto does in comparison with the Sound 4 and whatnot, seeing him fight Sasuke on the rooftop, seeing him fight Sasuke in the Final Valley, then seeing all the feats that Lee performs as well against Kimamaru. Overall, the highest you could be able to scale Sasuke is just first gate alone, okay? And that's basically it. So he doesn't scale to 5th gate, doesn't scale to any of that as well. And just to show you those feats as well, because I don't want you guys to think I'm, you know, being dishonest or anything like that too. This is just normal weightless Lee letting multiple hits on, you know, Kimamaru in the first round. Then Kimamaru basically like adjusts his fighting style, and he's able to get the edge in the fight in the round, and kind of, you know, eventually basically about to beat him. And that's when the whole drunken fist thing happens, you name it. And he even concedes, he's like, I'm left with no choice, and has to use CM1, and basically concedes himself that he has to go into the next state, otherwise he's gonna, you know, lose the fight, basically, you know. So that's basically what you're working with. And mind you, the reason why this is insane is because this is also a weaker Lee as well. And even Kimamaru acknowledges this Lee's strength and power compared to the others. He's like, he's not as easy as the others, which would include Ninetales, Naruto, and all his clones, Shikamaru, the Flute Girl as well, because those are the only people he's seen so far. Okay, and in the anime, he just says he's like stronger than the others. So you have all that information. Then, you know, these are his feats in the drunken state where he's also able to like to just beat him up and land multiple blows as well. It takes for him to go CM1 in order to stop it and counter it. This is Gar basically saying, you know, you were faster and sharper than this. Thanks, you know, and just literally saying verbatim, this is a weaker Lee as well. And that's further established by even Tsunade, you know, basically saying this surgery was a success. If he's limited to jutsu training, he can start as early as tomorrow, but it wouldn't hurt to take it easy for a while. So even like the most greatest medical specialist ever even says that. This is also him hitting Kimura as well in base, even like to moving so fast where like Naruto's still looking the other way and just completely being perception blitz and even confused to show it in the bottom as well. Okay, and then just showing him like completely being, you know, equal to you know, base Kimura as well, which is taijutsu in weightless form. Even Kimura is saying here, I can't read his moves. He hit me. That taijutsu is something else. Okay, because the problem with Drunken Fist, he's just so unpredictable. With it, the same speed, it just makes him even more dangerous. And then here, like even Rock Lee says, you know, I can't, you know, I can't use any moves that are big enough to kill me. I just got a surgery, so I can't go too crazy, but I can open at least one of the first, you know, the gates. So he uses the first gate alone, basically saying, you know, like you can't use anything else. And then when he uses the first gate, you know, Kimura has to be forced to use CM1 again and stops it. He's like impressive speed, but it stops here. So mind you, like, it doesn't say that about anybody else, but it says it about Lee. So once again, guys, if you connect all the dots, like this Lee, he's just completely built different. You know what I mean? Like he's just on a whole other level. And this is even him reacting to CM1 Kimura as well while on Drunken Fist too. You know? So no matter what, guys, that's basically what you're working with. And I just really wanted to show all that evidence and information. There's really nothing more I can really show from here for you guys. Basically, that's, you know, everything in a nutshell that, you know, I could be able to show for Sasuke's scaling. And he's clearly not 5th gate level, and this was the short version. And that's basically it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more content, subscribe if you guys love the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Batman out.